Hello, the game has started. It's my opponent to go first. I've got quite a nice rack, a scoring tile in the F, and the rest of the tiles quite bingo-y. A couple of duplicates, so I may not have a bingo immediately, but I should be able to leave a pretty good rack leave. A play of F-A-E, for example, would leave a nice rack leave of read. Okay, so I can't see a 7 with this rack. What about the 8s on offer? I've got the where ending, A-R-E and E-A-R. Nothing there. E doesn't look promising. How about the M? Not seeing anything there. And how about the B? No. So what I do have is F-A-E in this spot. Slightly dangerous here because quite a few high scoring tiles, including the Z, can go underneath B-E. But as I say, the rack leave is good. And if I played something like feared, I'd be providing access to this triple word square with a vowel underneath this double letter square. So I'm going with this. Well, that's pretty good. It's me who has the Z. Not too many hotspots on this board, so that could easily go. Through a G I would have ungrazed and gesunder. Now, what about unraised? That may be good. And it is, so I have a 7 on my rack. Not sure there's anywhere for it on the board at the moment. EF takes an S and a T after it. And I think Wemb only takes an S, I don't think it takes an E. And Fey takes nothing. MAU not good, otherwise unraised would have slotted in row J. So if I can't bingo and this spot under BE remains available, what should I do with my Z? I could play Z, which takes an A and an S at the end, keeping rune, not a bad rack leave. The N helping the U. I don't think I'm going to be able to... Well, I was going to say play off the Z and the U, but I certainly can, because I could play Azure or Azurn. And possibly Azured. Not too sure about that last one. Opponent taking a while with this move. Quite a good idea to take some time with your earliest moves because you do have a lot of time. And the moves you make at the beginning will influence the rest of the game. Def is good, but unfortunately for me, EW is not yet good. That is one of the 3 new 2-letter words that are being introduced to the word list later on this year. And these videos will be switching to that word list as soon as ISC switches to it. It's quite a small update, so unlikely to influence games very much. But the addition of 2-letter words is always quite significant because there aren't many of them, so almost all 2-letter words end up getting played quite a lot. And the 3 new ones are EW, OK, and something else. Right, so opponent does have a bingo, does not provide a G, does not provide anywhere for unraised, takes my Bez spot, so all good from his perspective. So do I have anything through the new floaters? So I've got an N to consider, that doesn't look promising. The I. Well, not seeing anything. Not seeing anything with the T, and no new hotspots provided, so from my opponent's perspective that was time well spent. May, I think, only takes an S at the end. Certainly nothing I've got. If I could get my Z doubled, that might be the right thing to do. And I can do that with Zaire. So I do have a 40 to 50 point play, but then I'm placing the Z in row H for my opponent to get tripled. I can't see a double-double in column 5. So, a slightly tricky position, but not too tricky in the sense that Zaire is quite a nice play, and it keeps the U and the N together. I do have Azern in column 3, but that doesn't get the whole word doubled. Dersey is good, which would get rid of the U, but again, doesn't get anything like the score that Zaire gets. So Zaire for 48. Great, the Q with the U, always nice to see. Holds out the possibility of a big score. Just wondering if I have a bingo here, and I don't think I do. Through an E though, and there is an E, I would have N queued, I think. And hopefully my opponent will be attracted to the Z. So I could be on the brink of bingoing, and I am. Fantastic. Let's see if I've added up the U's and E's correctly. N queued for 69. And is this the best spot for it? I've been criticised. Unthinkable, I know, but I've been criticised for the placement of my bingos. So I don't want to give any sort of evidence to support that gross criticism. So, NQ'd for 69. And pretty good. I have Anna Gouge. Is there a place for that? And no, I don't think there is, which is a shame. Always good to have back-to-back bingos. Anna Gouged, not good. 49 points for my opponent, so I'm still behind despite my bingo. A weft, not good. Weft takes nothing in front. Wemd only takes an S, and Q'd nothing after it. Just looking in case there's a big overlap. I don't think Anna Gouge has an anagram. It doesn't play to the left of row F. What a shame. That's the second time I've had a bingo which doesn't play. And I really can't see anything through the D. So, how to sort the rack out? Well, I've got quite a nice play down here. I don't really like the G's. It's not a massively useful tile. So I can play Gauge for 24. My N saved for going underneath double E. Quite a decent score. No scoring tiles on this rack, so I can hardly expect anything much more than this. A&O is a vulnerable rack leave. However, it's a vulnerable rack leave comprising bingo-y tiles, so I just need to hope I'm okay. And look at this, still 4 S's and a blank out there. Any of those would certainly enhance this rack. Gauge for 24. Okay, not bad. A middling sort of pickup. Could have been a lot worse. This board is really tight. Really very few lanes available with nothing going in front of weft. Only the S after wemb. All is pretty choked in the middle. And we're close on score, just 4 points between us. I've got the Asian ending through an I. This I not quite in the right spot. Can't see anything through the D. Suspect there aren't too many bingos, 8-letter bingos with this rack, if any. Can't make much use of this N hook. And I can't see anywhere fantastic for the F. But that's partly because there isn't really anywhere fantastic for anything. So I have F double A, keeping Newt. Right, what's my opponent done? 55 points, wow. Perfect spot for his K, that double E. What can I do down the bottom? Eek takes nothing after it. I can't play a foot. 13 minutes on my clock, 44 tiles left. My F could go in front of the E. So I've got foo in that spot. 24 points. But look at this, I'm 60 points behind. I quite like having the floating D and diatso available. That's a nice bingo lane. Column 11's a nice bingo lane, given 2 S's are still out there. I wonder if my opponent had a third S on his rack, in which case Coz's was a fantastic play for him. Row N is good for bingos ending in S. And H. I'm just looking to see if I've got a longer play in row O, apart from foo underneath Coz's. Rack leave of Anta, not fantastic. I don't think I do have a longer play. Teak is good. Well, what about playing a foot across here? Keeping AN. Tempting, given I'm behind. This is a volatile move. 22 points. The Z's gone, but the J hasn't, so that triple letter square could be dangerous. But the rack leave is a lot better than anything I've considered, and the score is not too different from anything I've considered. If opponent plays down column 15, he'll be probably opening up column 14. This feels slightly too volatile a play, since I am only 1 bingo behind and there are bingo lanes on this board. But this is sorting out the rack. However, it does feel very dangerous. So what about playing fora here? I think that's convincing me. It's only 1 fewer point, and the rack leave is not significantly worse than AN, and I'm not providing an easy scoring spot for my opponent, and I'm preserving the floating E and S of Coz's. I'm going with this. Well, bingo-y tiles, but not quite good enough. Can't see a 7 with this rack. I'm sure there are some 8s, but do I have any 8s onto the floaters on the board? I have rogation through an I. Again, this I of diatso, not quite in the right spot. What about the E and the S? Maybe I gave away my E engaged too cheaply. Only 4 to come. Just wondering about ostragon, but that feels like I'm confusing probably a couple of other words. And it doesn't fit anyway. Still 2 O's to come. Not too many tiles go underneath S, so row O not quite as hot as it otherwise might be. However, look at this, 2 H's to come, and SH is good. Looking again at this D in case I've got something onto it. Now that's interesting. Opponent slowing down for the first time. Could be sorting out a tricky rack. I can see there's still a V out there and a C, so maybe he had duplicates of one of those. But with only 13 points, the alternative explanation could be that he's kept a really good 4-letter rack leave. Now, does this C help? I could play octagon, not a bingo. I've got the con prefix, can't see anything with that. And the C is the only floater provided by that play. Octagon is really wrecking in terms of the rack. But I don't have an E or an S or a blank, and there are still 7 of them out there. So there is benefit to playing off more tiles. I was thinking about playing down from the F, given that Eeks isn't good, but row N is a useful bingo lane because of Uggs and UGH to a lesser extent. Tempting to play octagon, opening up a new lane. 20 points, which is not bad. The R is not a great tile to keep, given that there are 3 out there. 2 R's on your rack is not... well, it's not a disaster, but it's not great either. A better rack lead would be Rat. Only 2 A's to come. So I could play Congo or Kogon. Both are good. I think this is a more bingo-y play. I'm only sacrificing 4 or 5 points, and I think Art is 4 or 5 points better than just the R. I'm going with this. Well, I do draw another R and another T. But is Tranter good? I think it is. It is, and it's the lane that I'd initially spotted for that, which is row D, created by Congo, is still available. So I am bingoing. Is there an alternative bingo? I wouldn't want to play a suboptimal one. Now, does Deke take an S? I'm going to check that. No, it doesn't, so opponent isn't signalling that he's got an S or a blank. Still 2 S's and 1 blank to come. 8 minutes on my clock, 29 tiles, so I probably shouldn't be hanging around too much, given that I have a bingo on my rack. There's nowhere else for Tranter. A play ending in Y is not going to be better. A play ending in E is not going to be better. So it's just the C to consider. There isn't one there. So let me get this down and pick up the final blank. Tranter for 68. I dodge it. Still 22 tiles in the bag. Through an S, so I'd have land slip. Struggling to see any bingos with this rack. And it doesn't feel like it's a rack which is offering a lot of possibilities. And I dodge an H as well. Well, that's interesting. Opponent's got both of them, but is unable to utilise SH. Otherwise he'd have got a bigger score than 34. I trail by 40 despite that bingo. So I need to keep the board open, and it is quite open. Tranter's blocked column 11 for bingos ending in S, but row N is still available. The D is still available. E and R are useful floaters. But if I preserve all of those bingo options I've mentioned, I'm not left with very much else to play. Very many other areas to play in. Now, still 4 eyes to come. So I could do with playing off this one. Just checking that I don't have a bingo through the E. That is a good tile. Not seeing one. Quite like to play off a lot of tiles, given the blank, and only 19 tiles left. 7 minutes on my clock. Tranter has blocked plays ending LY and ILY. Not that I had any, anyway. 2 takes nothing in front, so I could play down column 4. So I could play lipo here. Only 12 points, which isn't great, and the rack leave is poor as well. DL and N are clunky. There are still 2 N's to come, 6 minutes on my clock. Can I do better? Can't see a play. Well, I don't have a play which runs across the top of Panther, beginning with the P above this A. I've got flip, bottom left, but that just blocks the S lane. Now, unfortunately, pill isn't good, and I think I do have to play off an L. I was just noticing that PEH is good and ISO is good, but PIL is not good. So the best I could do there would be pin. 29 points, that's a big score. And I'm only 30 behind. I'm tempted to go for this score and just take a risk on the ropiness of this rack leave. It's certainly a lot better than the 14 I was looking at with lipo. Just looking to see if I've got anything beginning API, but I don't. I'm going with this. Not great, but actually my pickup was pretty good, ANT. The problem was my rack leave. But I trail by 6. And I've missed all the nice tiles, the 2 S's, the blank. The J not necessarily a good tile. But there are some nice J spots above the O of Congo. Wow, I hadn't realised the X was still out there, 35 points. So I need to sort this rack out. And I think I'm going to struggle to score with it. So what about playing fall? 14 points, I'm taking out that S lane. But I'm keeping the D, I'm keeping the E and the R. And the priority on this move is sorting the rack out. Dant is pretty good. No A's to come, no D's to come, only 1 N and only 1 T. So I'm unlikely to be suffering massive duplication. And I was thinking I could play flan, which isn't putting... Wow, look at that, opponent could have JEES. But flan takes an E, and this rack leave is a lot better than ADLT. Tricky rack because I have no scoring tiles. I don't really like fall. It's only 14 points, and that is a huge spot. B could go there, so could J, so could Y. And only 3 minutes on my clock. I could play Dolt above the top of Tranter. I could play Doll, but then I'm interrupting my floaters in ER. And I'm not turning over many tiles. I'm going with fall. I'm running out of time. Wow, that is a good rack, but have I left myself enough time to find a bingo? I have unsated in column 14 and Tranters. I do have a bingo. Do I have an alternative bingo? Surely opponent's going to be attracted to the bottom left, but hopefully he's not going to have a 50-point play in that spot. Saunted and Stormed, I think, are the anagrams of unsated. Nowhere for that. What about a play ending with the D? Not seeing one, so everything's hinging on unsated. Ah, but it isn't, because falls is good. So if unsated is blocked, I've got Stormed, I think I said. Wow. So it's game on. Just 30 points behind, and I've got a guaranteed bingo. And there's only 11 tiles in the bag. Wow, look at that. Ginny takes a D in front, so I've actually got unsated here. 91 points, that's got to be the biggest score. I'm going with this. I'm going to empty the bag, so if opponent bingoes back, he wins. The remaining tiles, pretty bingo-y. I'm going with this. Am I? Should I be taking out the bottom left with a play of Saunted? Nope, I think I'm going with this. Wow. Fantastic. I draw the blank. I've got 2 minutes on my clock. Opponent's got 11. I think there is a bingo on this rack, but can I find it in time? I'm currently only leading by 30 points. And nothing has come to mind. The L and the U, not great. So what about a play ending in D? Wow, I see Moldier, but that doesn't quite fit. Lemuroid, I have Lemuroid. Probably pronounced wrongly in the excitement. Do I have a second bingo? If I do, the game is definitely mine. Unless opponent bingos right now. I can see what he's got. I don't think Sorbety is good. If it is, opponent wins. There's some sort of funky botrytis word. What would he need for that? He'd need another T. There isn't one. So, I don't think I found my second bingo. I was thinking about Lemurine. Doesn't fit. Merlia is good. But nowhere for that. Surely opponent won't... Well, opponent can see what I've got. So if he can see that the only bingo I've got is Lemuroid, he may block that. But if he does that, I play in the bottom left with my M. And I'm not going to look for a play there, but I'm sure I have one. My priority is to find a second bingo. So this rack plus an E or an R. Not seen anything yet. E or an R. Still nothing. I have the like ending. Not sure about rum-like as a 7. This rack plus an E or an R. That's Lemurine, which doesn't fit, and in any event may not be good. But if it's not good, is there a valid anagram? Not that I can see. That's Moldier through a D and Lemuroid, which I've got in my pocket. Lumpia. Row B is a bingo lane. Plumia, neither works. Plumia may not be good. This rack plus an E or an R. This is painful. I think there probably is something here. I'm not seeing it though. E or an R. This isn't looking promising now. No. Okay, so probably time to stop looking for a bingo through an E or an R. How promising is row B? I don't think it is very promising. Because this S just interrupts the candidate words I've considered. Does fall only take an S? I think it does. Misrule is good. Misrule. Fantastic. I have Misrule and Tranters. Time to relax. Fantastic. So all I've got to do now is avoid forgetting Misrule and Lemuroid. So fantastic. That took me a while to find. I think Misrule is a strange word. I mean, I will have played it before because it's such high probability, but I think it's not a word which immediately jumps to mind, even though it's fairly common. Let me see which scores more. 77 for Misrule. Over 80 for Lemuroid, so Lemuroid is my preferred play. Misrule doesn't play in row O. Deke takes nothing after it. I wonder if there's a play through the R and using the E. Well, I don't need to find such a word, fortunately. And opponent finally does play. Bitsy for 27. He does block Lemuroid. And I have Misrule for 77. Bang. And the final score, 397 to my opponent, 482 for me, a winning margin of 85 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. It was my opponent to go first. Plays Wemb. Wow! There is a bingo here, a feared. Gosh, and I actually thought about feared at one point. What a big miss. Okay, so a feared was available. Bad miss. Opponent's rack. He doesn't miss his bingo. He's got nitrite and intimator, or intimata. I have unraised, couldn't see anywhere for it. I play Zaire for 48. Opponent plays Plough, which is great because I have NQ'd. And that was the only bingo. Opponent's rack plays Diatso. So despite my bingo, he's 30 points in the lead. Nowhere for Anagoge. Oh wow, I play Gauge, and I could have played Gaga, and that would have been a much better play. EA not taking a K after it. So I gifted my opponent 55 points for causes, and I'm now approaching a bingo behind. I thought about a foot at K11, didn't like it, went with Fora. And I still prefer Fora. So this is when opponent played Carver. Yeah, he was sorting out a Grim rack. My rack, no bingo here. What do? I play Congo for 16. So I'm sacrificing 10 points to keep rat rather than on. Is rat 10 points better than on? Certainly not. But it is a better rat cleave. Gator, K10. Yeah, Gator's setting up an S hook in column 15 when I don't have one. And it's interrupting the floating E and S. And my play of Congo helped to open up row D as a bingo lane, so there are strategic considerations over and above score and rack cleave, so I still feel reasonably happy with Congo. Opponent's rack plays Dicey, and that's fantastic. I have Tranter. What I didn't see is that I also have Natera and Ratana through this E, but Tranter the highest scoring play. So, opponent wasn't able to get his H underneath the S. Plays Ho. A4 Diplon, quite nice, and I may have played that. It's covering the double letter square. Rack leaves okay. Turning over tiles with a blank to come. So I played Pin, wasn't too happy with it. Didn't turn over many tiles and the Rackley was ropey, so it's in second spot here, but Dahl a lot worse than AL. Wow, horrible rack for my opponent. He plays Vox. And now I struggled here. I really couldn't find anything I particularly liked. Dolt felt that it was too open. So I went with Fall. Yeah, and not too many plays scoring more than that, so I think that's okay. Wow, look at that. Opponent has the J, but he doesn't have the vowels to play down to the bottom. Plays Ginny, and that's great because I have saunted and unsated, so it's stormed, which isn't good. Now the bag is empty. This was my opponent's last play, which he took a very long time over, but he found the best play in bit C. And what was available? Just misrule. Wow, the only bingo, so delighted to have spotted that. And I run out an 80-point victor. So absolutely cracking game. Always good to get a couple of bingos at the end and sweep one's way to victory, especially after quite a grim struggle earlier in the game. And part of that grimness was owing to my own imperfections in missing a fear and also playing gauge rather than gaga. However, you learn from your mistakes, so I'm going to come back a better player for my next game. So I hope you enjoyed watching this game, and I will see you next time.